Hello everybody, and welcome to Asgard, and I have yet another movie review for all of you. I know, I've been on a roll as of lately, been watching several films, and there's actually a few films that I don't plan to review for this channel because they are Disney Disney Channel movies or DCOM films that I've been watching with the wife, but I've been trying to get through some other films too, a little bit more serious films, especially films that were sent to me, as I said yesterday. I rather reviewed I Confess, that was given to me by Father Christopher Miller, so hail to you, Father, for that again. And Bruce had sent me a film called Logan's Run, which I reviewed yesterday as well. And so today I have another film that Bruce sent me called Zulu. So Zulu from 1964, which was already at the very start of it with the opening credits having my attention because I saw the words introducing Michael Caine. I never thought I'd see a movie saying introducing Michael Caine, because Michael Caine has just been such a well-known actor and a profound actor at that for such a long time, ever since, I've been alive. And you always fail to remember that even these big actors that we have now in Hollywood who've been working on these giant, big box office hits, big comic book films, had their own starts and had their own first production or their first major production. So that already, like, off the bat had me excited because I was like, oh my goodness, this is the first real major theatrical role for, I guess, movie role for Michael Caine. And I was amazed by that. I was just truly was blown away. So anyway, it's an action war epic film. It's about 2 hours and 18 minutes long. And I definitely think that let me just start off because there's very few flaws that I have with this movie. And so I'll start off with those. The only flaws that I have with it, there's a couple of sequences, especially early on, where they show basically it's the Zulu tribe. And they're doing this various dance. They're doing almost like a wedding dance of sorts. And they spend a lot of time covering the dance. And at first I was like, oh, this is really cool. They're not cutting away. They're not, just treating it as background. It's actually its own thing. And they're really showing you exactly what this whole dance and ceremony is actually going to be like. But for me, it just spent a little bit too much time, especially when you have an over, 2-hour film, 2 hour and 15-minute film. I felt like that you could have cut some of those scenes, or that you could have cut the length of some of those shots, because even though I think that they did a good job with it, I think that it was just a little bit too much from time to time. So that's really my only issue with the film, though, are just those opening scenes when you just have these very, very long takes. You have these very, very long sequences of this tribe dancing and going through essentially a marriage ceremony of sorts. And it was just a little bit too much for me as far as the length of it goes. But other than that, the film is just fantastic. First off, the acting is phenomenal. Michael Caine, once he comes onto the screen, just is his typical Michael Caine self, just with an amazing, I love his accent so much, and also just is a incredible performer too. You have a lot of other really great and talented actors in this film, from the lead performers to the supporting performers. There's a lot of sequences that happen basically in the house where all of the sick and ill and injured are having, and there's just these little sequences that they have kind of just helping you dive further into their characterizations. There's this one character who is going crazy. He must have like a fever because he must have an infection, and so he constantly just wakes up randomly screaming random things. And then there's another guy who is just as not having any of it, and so it's like smacking him around and hitting him, and it's just like, what in the world? But it adds to their characters, and it adds to understanding those characters a little bit better. And so the main premise of the film is that it is basically this outpost that is run. It all takes place in South Africa, and there's this little outpost that I guess you could say the British soldiers have hold of, and they're about to be attacked by about 4,000 Zulu warriors who had earlier destroyed an entire settlement of British soldiers earlier as well. And so they're trying to get their numbers together. They really don't have those many soldiers available to them to be able to defend themselves, but it basically focuses on how they get ready for it, how they prepare for it, what life would have been like during one of those outposts before then. Obviously, you get a little bit about what the Zulu tribe and how they would have acted, and what was kind of like everyday life for them as well. And then eventually, of course, you get kind of the climax of the film where you have this giant battle take place, and just how it's strategy versus strategy, and it all ends, of course, with a showing of respect. I'm not going to go into too much more detail about that, just to avoid spoiling everything completely. Though this film has been out since the 1960s. It came out in 1964, and it just is great. So the acting is fantastic. The storytelling is great. Cinematography is just spot on. As I said, you have these long takes. You have these very well-crafted edits that really keep the pacing going in the film. You never feel like the film's dragging. You never feel like the film is boring, and editing always plays a very vital role in doing that. That's one of the big problems that I have with some more traditional westerns, because westerns, even though they're well shot and well acted and have a lot of action, because the editing and pacing is so slow, it's hard for me sometimes to get into those movies. That's why I was actually never a fan of The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, because to me it just was so long, and scenes just took forever, and there were these scenes of being boring. Zulu does not have that. So Zulu overall, again, very well paced film, very well edited as well. The score that you hear, there's not a whole lot of a underlying score throughout the entirety of the film, but when it's there, it's very good. And what I really like too is that there's actually in movie music going on. And actually, now that I'm remembering it, I don't even know if there was an actual score or not, because a lot of the music that I remember hearing was actually from the actors on screen. So when you have the entire sequence with the Zulu tribe, they're singing various songs, and it's just beautiful. It's very well done. Again, it just makes it feel that much more authentic. And then you get to the British soldiers, and there's a time when they start singing randomly too. And those are, now that I'm remembering it, I think that may have been the only music that I can remember hearing. If I did hear anything, it sounded fine. So that's the reason why, I mentioned the score. But at the end of the day, you know what? I'm wondering if it even had a legitimate score, or if it was just these moments of music in the film. So otherwise, just overall fantastic. And it's so weird that that's something that I'm not remembering specifically. So again, it's not a memorable score if there is one, which makes me think almost like there may have not been one, and I just didn't realize it because I was just hearing this in movie music that was coming from the actors themselves. So just a few of the notes that I have up there. The opening shot's absolutely fantastic. There's this really great fade. There's this really good showing using practical effects of actual fire and actual destruction of the British soldiers from the first attack by the Zulus. So I thought that was very well good. The sound design also is great. So everything that you hear in the background, the mixing of the sound as well, with the early on in the Zulu tribe singing, and then they have the two, basically one person who's a priest and his daughter, and they're talking to the people around them, but you still hear the music in the background. So that's very well mixed together. There's a very good use of space. So if someone's from far away, it hears and sounds like they're from far away, as it should. So again, very well done sound design, sound editing as well. The wedding feast, as I said, and the song are a little bit too long for my taste. Very well shot. Battle formations are very cool as well. So there's this entire sequence as well where you have the Zulu that are forming all of their various sequences. Basically, it takes time, right? So it's not just we're going to rush into the battle here. We're going to rush the ramparts, right? Instead, the Zulus are very clearly having their own strategy of how they're going to handle everything, and they're very smart about it. But also the British soldiers, too, have their own strategy and have their own formations, and just the way all of it plays out. And remember, this is during a time, and this is set during a time in history, during the 1800s, when in order to shoot a gun, you'd literally have to put a bullet in every single time. You couldn't just have an automatic or semi-automatic weapon. You had to literally put one bullet in every single time. And so the way that they filmed that and the way that they made it seem that much more realistic for the time period was just absolutely fantastic. So again, the 1879 South Africa film Zulu, introducing Michael Caine. Fantastic film, very well done war film. Definitely a movie I don't think a lot of people likely have seen, because it does deal with a very specific parts of South Africa, and it's not, I would say, an interesting battle or an interesting war, similar to a World War II or Vietnam War, where much more people, especially American audiences, obviously this could be different for UK people, or it could be different especially for people in Africa, South Africa, but based as an American audience member, this is something that I never knew about before. I was never aware of these conflicts that happen in this way, and it's really cool to see that happen. So, to my knowledge, I don't think it is meant to be a shot for shot, here's how the actual battle took place, but I'm sure it's inspired by actual events, and I'm sure y'all are going to let me know about that in the comment section below. As you all know, I don't try and do heavy research for these videos, because I just want to give you my raw, unfiltered thoughts and opinions on a film, because I think that those tend to be the most honest before I dive into the history, and then the history ends up affecting your opinion of the movie or other people's thoughts and other people's opinions on the film tend to impact you when you go out that way. So anyway, if I had to give Zulu a grade, I would give it a solid A. Yeah, I'm going to be honest there. I'm going to give it a solid A, because not only was it an interesting film, shot in 70mm, so it looked gorgeous. It just looked great. Even from the Blu-ray transfer that I was watching, it still just looks so crisp, so well done. And that's what you get when you have a 70mm original print, and then you transfer that to either a 2K scan, which you have on Blu-ray, or a 4K scan like you have on regular 4K discs. But yeah, it's a very good film, very well made. Very well put together, very interesting. A couple of scenes that are a little bit too long, but other than that, it's solid, it's great, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. So thank you very much for Bruce for sending me that film, and hopefully these thoughts are something that you were looking for. So anyway, that's a solid A from me. Let me know, have you seen Zulu? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, give me a subscribe, it helps me a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless. And now to give a special shout out to my March Patreon and Subscribe Star members: animation commentator Brian P., Dion, David Brobrizik, Divex, Elizabeth M., Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, Hail Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Honker Chonker Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, JJ Jonathan Jerembeck, Kenneth Camiel, Lady T, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Riff Racer Request, Rosetta Allen, Sir Lancelotto, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, The DJD Show, and Tina B for Patreon, and my Subscribe Star peeps: Robert Revo, Larry, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Dark Star 57, Alex McCarthy, US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nebadan G. Adams, and ZK Man, and Mike Jackson. Thank you all so much for being my Patreon and Subscribe Star members for the month of March. You are all amazing people. Thank you so much for the support, and I hope that you are enjoying your perks. If you do not know the perks that you get, make sure you read again through all the perks that are listed, and also check your messages if you're over on Patreon, because if you are a $5 and up backer on Patreon, you get special access to giveaways over on the Discord. I send out messages with a link to join the Discord server. I will then hook you up over there, and you'll have access to some really cool giveaways. I give away 4Ks, Blu-rays, digital codes, try and give away at least a couple of big movies, 4K Blu-ray titles a month, and try to do at least 2 to 3 giveaways for when it comes to digital download codes. And I might try and do a little bit more this month as well, because I'm always trying to add extra stuff to it. And also, if you are a $10 or up backer, then you have access to a special podcast that I'm starting to do with John the Flick Pick. That's right, John Flickinger of the Flick Pick channel. We're having a lot of fun with the podcast, and so expect that every couple of weeks. And of course, also any extra behind the scenes, extra footage, extra interviews, extra solo podcasts as well, you will also have access to. And my special $25 and up backers on Patreon Subscribe Star, you have access to all of those things that I've listed. You also get a t-shirt. That's right, I will send you a t-shirt for your first month. And of course, you can also be featured on the Chosen to Valhalla live stream once a month. You get to be featured on the Odin's Movie Blog channel. It's always usually on a Sunday around 12 p.m. Eastern time. You get to join some lovely peeps and have some really great discussion with all of the Chosen of Valhalla and me with the live audience. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.